I'm just a guy trying his best at things that I love to do. I love Muay Thai. Um, I love coaching. I love working with the clients who I'm helping rebuild better habits with quitting smoking, with building a very good athletic foundation for Muay Thai, building good fitness, whether it's for cardio, whether it's for fat loss, whether it's for you to get a shredded physique. I love doing these things, but I just haven't figured out whatsoever how to do this in like a systematic manner, you know? Like I have no clue what I'm doing. And at first, the feeling I felt was stress and anxiety. I was like, wow, how am I gonna make a living? So I was like really tying my survival to the business that I make, and therefore there was a lot of stress and anxiety. And then I've quickly realized that tying stress and anxiety towards these goals actually makes me achieve the goals less effectively. So I removed that. I was able to separate the anxiety altogether. But then what I started feeling was sadness because I was just putting all of this effort and heart into this business, a very new school form of business, I guess you would say, and not getting the results. It just made me sad that I was putting this much emotional energy into things and wasn't getting the results that I wanted, right? Um, I guess that the sadness still lingers a little bit, but I'm sitting here thinking, like, what am I gonna do to make this work? And I don't know. What I can say is that whether it's entrepreneurship, because I have a lot of peers in the space, guys who started a business off of the content that they make on Instagram and YouTube. In other words, they monetize their audience. I know a lot of people that did that. And so I think the most successful of people who have done this are people who have had some kind of an entrepreneurial venture before. Um, Guys who were selling something when they were like teenagers. So like selling candy in high school or I don't know, selling tickets to go to like parties or selling anything, having any kind of venture beforehand always helps, right? Whereas for me, this is my first ever entrepreneurial venture. Now, there was multiple retakes, right? I created a community called Fighters Who Beat Addiction in May of 2024. I then had a school community, if you would even call that a business. That's barely a business, honestly, but it's still within that same realm where I was like, join this community to exclusively help you quit smoking. And then I had a YouTube channel where I just gave only quit smoking advice and it had nothing to do with Muay Thai or fitness or anything like that. And then I went back to Fighters Beat Addiction, then I discontinued it. Then a couple months later, I launched it again in the form of a one on one mentorship. And it actually worked at this point. Right now, I have three existing clients, but all of them are close to graduation. So it's like fulfillment is there. I've successfully been able to deliver, results. Guys who lost over 10 kgs, guys who quit smoking for like, I don't know what the date is today, but over 60 days, like 75 days right now. Um, yeah, so the results are quite good, but I still have no way of making this a system. I don't have a systematic way of getting inbound leads. I don't have a systematic way of engaging the right kind of conversations. Because for me to get any old lead or any old person to message me on Instagram, it's easy, right? But people who scroll reels don't necessarily have, I don't mean to label the person, but people who scroll reels won't necessarily be in the state of mind of like, hey, I have a problem that I'm looking to solve. People who scroll reels are just like in a dopamine loop. And so people who are in that state of mind are not good prospects because they're not taking anything seriously, right? So it makes me question things on Instagram a little bit. I understand there's a skill set that I could improve on, which is my ability to communicate much better when it comes to YouTube videos. When I do a video like this and I'm just talking about any old topic off the top of my head, I think I can communicate that all right. But when I'm trying to communicate a very specific message and I'm trying to tie concepts that are abstract and unrelated to one another, such as quitting smoking, Muay Thai, and fitness, and the mindset you need for all three. Um, and I want to do it in a way where it's going to be extremely easy for the viewer to understand, and then hit it with a punchline where I conclude everything all together. So, in other words, when I'm trying to make a video with notes, it's very challenging. I know I can improve that skill set, and I know I can improve that skill set for stories as well. When I'm just talking to a camera about a specific concept, I know my skill set there can improve, and I know that I could improve my skill set there not just to make the message pop a little bit better, but also um, to increase engagement because the talking videos on a reel and stories perform extreme like very poorly in terms of engagement. An average story within 24 hours will maybe gets like 600 views on my account. A story that does well will get maybe 1,200 views. It's usually always fighting stories. Whenever it's something, it's either footage of me fighting or me after I want to fight. Like those types of stories do really well. Any random story 600, and then a very poor story, which will be just me talking, and especially when I do a couple of them, dude, we'll have like under 200. So it varies a lot, and I do see the patterns, and I do see the areas that need to be improved on, which is great. But these aren't. I feel like these are details, and not the actual solution to the problems that I'm looking to solve. Um, my biggest thing is, I guess, if we can really tie down like the one thing that I wish I'd be able to fix today, it would be to have a systematic way of having conversations with qualified leads that actually have a need for what it is that I offer. That would be a system for that is specifically what I need. And I have invested in mentorships several times, and some were okay, some were good, but a lot of them were really bad. And ironically, it's always, I'm not saying this is how the info space works online, but a lot of times the most expensive programs I've paid for, the ones that are like 5,000, which is absurd, are the worst. The ones that are 5,000s are always the worst. Oh, good God, man. That I've worked with some people where they promise X and then they deliver basically nothing that I didn't already know. So, yeah. um, it is what it is. I mean, I respect people who need to hustle and you got to make your sales, so you're going to tell me that you can solve my problem. But in reality, a lot of these people can't, right? I think my advantage is I truly have a good product. I truly am able to fulfill on solving my client's problems. What I don't have is a good system on the front end to bring in qualified leads. And because of that, it makes me question my offer quite a bit. I'm also extremely passionate about very specific things that I'm learning in Muay Thai. So, somebody that I'm just obsessed with right now is a boxing coach, Barry Robinson. I'm like buying a lot of his instructionals. I want to buy like the highest tier Patreon so I can get him to review my fights, and I'm very, very obsessed with drilling, very basic footwork, right now and switching stances, being bistantial. And I'm also very passionate about sharing, uh, getting closer with my subconscious and trying to not numb or distract myself or just give my attention everywhere, because when I start limiting where my attention goes, it starts becoming clearer what it is that I feel within. And when I connect with what is within a little bit better, things become more clear and I become more calm. And I know that that's the right direction that I need to take, and it is the direction that I'm on. I think just because I fought 2 days ago, I've just been in a lot of pain and not sleeping the best and not eating the best and not in my regular routine and needing to nap in the middle of the day. Look, it's not that bad. I managed this one quite well, but this fight was a little bit rougher on the body, so perhaps that's why I lagged a little bit in terms of returning into my routine. But um, it's all good. Like I don't. These aren't these aren't big problems whatsoever. Um, but there's a lot of question marks in terms of how I need to go about things, and I think that's the point of entrepreneurship. There, I don't think there's a true blueprint to follow other than your own, which is quite wonderful, honestly. When I zoom out and look at this whole situation and think of how there isn't a blueprint for me to follow, it's like, that's awesome. That's really cool because that way I get to write my own story. I get to have my own trial and error and experience have like a very authentic experience with what I do, right? So I really appreciate that. At the same time, I am sick and tired of scratching my head every day. I'm enjoying it, right? Because I zoom out and I'm able to look at the big picture and see how beautiful it is. But I'd also like to solve my pain points. I'd like to solve my challenges and find methods that I'm not currently aware of to overcome my challenges. And so rather than, because I've invested in several mentorships already, and again, they were not up to par. And it's such a gamble, right? It's because part of me wants to keep investing, but another part of me tells me that there's enough free resources online where I should be able to overcome my challenges with time and consistency. And it's not a matter of work hard and you will overcome your challenges. Um, it's more so as you continue to connecting with your subconscious throughout micro growth with everyday consistency, and eventually your personal growth will equate to your business growth as well, and your Muay Thai and your growth in Muay Thai. So I'm quite certain of that, but I think that takes a lot of time. So I know 100% that I'll get there, but with the way I'm going about it is I'm turning in circles a lot and I'm not on the most efficient path. And it's a bit frustrating. It's a bit frustrating. I'd like to achieve better results with everything, financially, with my Muay Thai, with my personal development. But I'm also patient with myself and understand that some moves are plus EV, some moves are negative EV, some moves are plus EV but only a little, and yeah, therefore I choose to not go down that route. Um, yeah, look, man, overall I'm doing very well. Overall, I'm doing very well. Um, yeah, I guess that's it for the ramble, man. We're at 15 minutes. These videos take forever to upload on YouTube. So here's my ramble. at 7 a.m. Thank you.